GOLDINVEST. Explore opportunity.
So, today we're thrilled to be joined by Lon Shaver, president at Silvercorp Metals, for an exclusive conversation about the company's latest quarterly results and future outlook. Welcome, Lon.
Thanks, Sven. It's a pleasure meeting you and pleasure being here.
And as this is GOLDINVEST's first interview with Silvercorp, I would like to give a brief introduction to our audience. Silvercorp is a Canadian-based, China-focused precious metals producer, publicly traded on Toronto and New York Stock Exchange, and also trading in Frankfurt under the ticker S9Y. The current market cap is about $1 billion. As China's largest primary silver producer, Silvercorp explores and mines silver, gold, lead, and zinc across several provinces in China, and is now also expanding to South America, namely to Ecuador. The company has built a reputation as a low-cost, high-margin silver producer with a strong commitment to sustainability and profitability. As the financial year for the company starts on March 1st, we are here to discuss the first quarter 2026 performance. Lon, Silvercorp reported adjusted net income of $21 million or 10 cents per share, and operating cash flow of $48.3 million. How would you summarize the company's performance of the quarter?
I'd say we had a very solid quarter, and that $48 million in terms of operating cash flow was a record for the company. And I think what it is, it's evidence that for what has been a long-term, reliable, and profitable producer, that we still have potential for upside and positive surprises and growth going forward. And this really results from the fact that over the 20 years that we've been operating these mines in China, we've continued to invest in them, grow them, and we're evolving them for a future that we think has both, as you pointed out, sustainable production, but long-term profitability going forward with a focus on silver.
As I have just recently written about the annual results, it just comes to my mind that I think the free cash flow there was $52 million. So the $48 million compares very strongly with the last year's result even.
Yeah, and that's 42 operating.
Yeah.
So in terms of free, it was less than that. It was into sort of the mid-20s in terms of free cash flow as a result of us making some investments, both in our existing operations in China, developing a new facility in China, and then also spending money in Ecuador, where we have opened up a new beachhead, a new frontier to grow the company.
Still, one sad incident happened at the HHZG mine in China. The company reported a fatality there, and that's always something that you definitely don't want as a mining company. Can you provide us with some more detail there?
Yeah, it's a tragedy in so many respects, and it's so unfortunate because we have a very good track record, and we spent a lot of time and effort in terms of policies, procedures, training, and documentation. But this clearly was the case of a bit of, I'll say, a rogue individual who works for one of the companies that's a contractor that does the mining. And what this individual did was really ignore and disobey all the regulations in terms of where and when to go and access the mine, and was taking a new recruit down for sort of an orientation visit to where they would be mining. But this area hadn't been cleared. It had not been approved for access, which is a very important thing. And we have systems in place that before we put people into these areas underground, they're visited by qualified technical people. And there's 3 people that need to sign off on accessing these areas. So this had not been done. This rogue individual took a person down to an area that was not approved. While they were there, there was an unfortunate rock fall, and that killed the recruit. So that was the first sort of transgression. The second one was, I guess, as a result of embarrassment or realizing that he had done something improper, This individual then concealed the fatality, did not follow procedure reporting it to us or to the authorities, and went and dealt with the family of the worker himself directly. And even though this accident happened in May, we only found out about it in July as a result of it being reported through a government whistleblower incident. So we found out about it too late after the fact, and very unfortunate because that one person's actions led to all of these consequences, not just the fatality.
Usually what tends to happen then is that you get a mine closure for a certain period of time.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
so we've had to curtail production, and to be conservative, we said that in the current quarter we might see a reduction up to between 20 and 25%. We're optimistic that it won't be as bad as that. And at the end of last week, just when we were releasing that report to the market, we had started receiving approvals coming back from the government regulators saying you can open up these different areas again. We've approved your plan for reopening.
Good. Let's move on and let's talk about Ecuador and South America. That's the new frontier for the company. You've been operating in China for, I think, the better of 20 years now.
Yes.
And I only overlooked the past couple of years, but you've always managed to be profitable and by managing your cost there, right? Yeah. Now you're opening a new chapter, which is supposedly bringing a lot more growth to the company. Looking forward to 2028, which is actually effectively calendar year 2027. What I've seen is you're intending to actually double your revenues by adding that Ecuadorian mine. This quarter, you spent 5.4 million in Ecuador, and by advancing the El Domo project and the Condor project. What milestones are expected over the next 6 months for these projects?
The construction is going to follow a program here that will have to ramp up starting this month in terms of tons moved, in terms of the areas cut and dug, and site preparation that's going to take place. So I think that's really going to be the notable change that we're going to see. With some of these activities being undertaken, we expect to be in a position where we'll be able to draw against the $175 million funding that is in place due to the stream arrangement with Wheaton. So we expect we'll be able to make the first of 4 draws either in this quarter ended September or early in the following quarter. And this really ties into commencement of construction of the tailings facility, further improvements in terms of road access. Right now, we've been delivering, unloading, and installing the camp buildings to be able to house people on site and eliminate the commute to the office. That needs to be done right now. So that's another milestone. We've commenced power line and looking at the elements of completing the power connection to the grid. And we're very close to signing off and making committed orders for these long lead time items for infrastructure and equipment that we'll need for the plant site so that we can get these things ordered and on their way shipped so that we can begin installing them.
Just remind our audience again, does this mine start with an open pit?
It is an open pit, yeah.
Okay, and so you're preparing for that, and there's, of course, and then you are supposedly drawing on that Wheaton streams. The mine, as far as I've seen, is going to produce also a number of products, and for the first time, really significant amounts of copper too, which is new to the portfolio in a way for Silvercorp. So you would assume Wheaton, what stream are they getting? What metal do you give away to them?
When the previous owner was looking to advance and finance the project, they entered into a stream arrangement with Wheaton. Of course, Wheaton is known for streaming of silver and gold, so that was the focus.
Yeah.
And so they are entitled to 3/4 of the silver and half of the gold from the operation. Mm-hmm. We knew that going into it, but we looked at the economics and saw the contribution that this would make in terms of revenue and cash flow. And as you pointed out, it's diversifying us geographically and establishing a new footprint in South America for us as an operator. and it's also adding copper to our revenue mix. And that 50% increase in revenue that I mentioned earlier, the majority of that is from copper, a metal that we don't have that much exposure to. There is some byproduct copper that's being produced at our Ying mine in China, but it's very minimal. So this will be the first major contribution in copper to our economics.
And the idea would be to ship the concentrate over to China and have it processed there?
There's a number of concentrates that are produced at El Domo. The main focus is a copper concentrate, but then there'll also be a zinc concentrate and a very small quantity of a lead concentrate. The developer had struck an arrangement, so there is a offtake agreement in place with Trafigura. So ultimately, we'll be transacting with Trafigura on market-based terms, and they will take possession of our concentrates, and it'll be up to them where they choose to send them. But in all likelihood, it'll likely be Asia, China, Korea, or Japan.
I think the one thing Silvercorp really stands out for is that it's so well cashed up. You entered the quarter, I think, with $377 million in cash and short-term investments, plus another $72.2 million in equity investments. And you have that stream available of $175 million from Wheaton. You wonder, you just said it, basically, you inherited that stream. Otherwise, you probably could have just funded this out of pocket almost, in a way, from your own cash flow.
Yeah, no, and then that's clearly been our strategy, is to run our mines profitably, to build up the funding necessary to either make an acquisition to grow the company and or to invest in the capital cost to build another mine and bring another mine on stream. We built our cash position up to a very healthy level prior to us doing a convertible debenture issue in November of last year. The focus of that was to add additional funding for growth so we could expand our sort of list of targets to potentially bigger entities, bigger mines or bigger projects. And so we remain active looking at what will be the next new growth opportunity for Silvercorp.
I've seen the company bidding for assets across the globe, literally, also in Tanzania, for example. I think also another one in South America. Obviously, you're not going to share with us what that tells me. You're not excluding geographic. You have no specific focus, or is it mostly now South America you're focusing on?
No, it would be, you pointed out, we're very open-minded. And so it's looking at really what are those jurisdictions, those environments where you can find a good project technically, you can have a transaction that makes sense economically for us. And then lastly, and very importantly, where you can get the license from both the government in terms of a permit, but also on the local community to go forward and to build a mine. Because that's really what our objective is, not to get projects and spend years thinking about them. It's getting projects that are actionable, that we can move ahead, use our expertise, build them, bring them on, and have them contribute to the profitability of the company.
And I looked into Ecuador, given your project there, and it's pretty impressive to see what Lundin and others have done over the past couple of years. The business has really is thriving there.
And really, despite that, there's only 2 sort of commercial scale mining operations in the country. So there's a lot of great geology, a lot of great deposits, but it's a country that is probably behind its neighbors and recognizing that there's a great opportunity to build a mining industry on larger scale commercial type operations that can produce the commodities that are needed in this current global environment.
Yeah. Let me just close by again restating that there's more than a third of the current market cap held in cash by the company. So you got a lot of firepower there to look out for new opportunities. And with that, Lon, thank you for taking the time today, and we look forward to reconnecting. Thank you.
That's great, Sven. I appreciate the chance to get connected and look forward to chatting with you again in the future.
Thank you, Lon.
Bye-bye.